The Doctor Who Alhambra Podcast. Real Doctor Who fans with real Doctor Who opinions.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Doctor Who Alhambra Podcast. I'm your host, Brett, and today we've got another exciting episode packed with the latest news from the world of Doctor Who. We'll be diving into the big announcement revealing the writing team for the upcoming season, Season 2, Season 41, or Series 15, I think. And what does this mean for the future of the show? Plus, we'll cover all the latest updates, rumors, behind-the-scenes happenings in the Whoniverse. So, grab your sonic screwdriver and get ready for another thrilling discussion about all things Doctor Who. Wow. I will tell you, it is a struggle to read things word for word for my brain. It just doesn't want to do it. It fights back. And I do appreciate the fifth co-host of the Doctor Who Alhambra Podcast, ChatGPT, for giving me, cleaning up my already written summary of what I wanted to say. So, that being said, and I am going to be covering the most recent news about the new writing team, because I think there is a couple of layers that we do need to look at. And I want to say, look at it through what fans are saying, what fans are feeling, and discuss possible concerns and also discuss possible hope. Again, it sounds like I'm in the middle of the road. I will tell you I'm not, but I do feel as though before I cast judgment, I do need to look at things a little bit more clearly. And a lot of these things, I have all these articles and whatnot picked up or ready to go, but I have not yet actually looked at them. So currently right now, I am in the middle of the road. I don't know what to say, but I have so many things in the works, as one would say. All right. Well, I want to discuss some of Doctor Who's sad news. The show has been on for now 61, going on 62 years, and we are constantly, losing, especially from the classic series, the writers, actors, and whatnot, production team, and Barbara Clegg, writer of The Enlightenment, from which was the Black Guardian trilogy, recently passed away. I only know she did this one, and I believe she did, I think she did two missing episodes, I believe. I know one of them is Point of Entry, which was, was that? I think that was a Sixth Doctor one from the second series or first season of Lost Stories. But the one and I don't mean to just skirt over it, but I only know her for two things surrounding Doctor Who. But Christopher Benjamin, the man known mostly for playing Henry Gordon Jago, and when I got a message from Liam, I didn't know what it meant because I hadn't checked the news. And Liam's message to the group was this. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. It says, and so Jago and Lightfoot both ride off into the sunset, indefinitely going on endless adventures. Sad times. An era has definitely come to an end. Dash me optics. So, that was the one that I was shocked by when I found and saw the news that Henry Gordon Jago or Christopher Benjamin has passed away. I do feel as though it is a loss. I hope everybody can just enjoy what he did for the character of Henry Gordon Jago, along with his partner, the acting partner, Trevor Baxter, who did Professor Lightfoot. Jago and Lightfoot, I will say this, great series. You can pick up the Mahogany Murders. I do know that I was looking at one of the Big Finish pages, not the one that I was kicked off of. I will tell you, I will get back on that page. Oh yes, it will happen. Plans are in development, and I will be back. Oh yes, I will be back. But anyway, that being said, besides that, light threat or, jovial thought at returning. Uh, I um I'm really quite sad, but also happy that about this because we've got such a great run of uh, Jago and Lightfoot. For me personally, I believe it really started taking the first two seasons. I really had a hard time enjoying. Liam had me listen to Jago and Lightfoot for the first time when I visited in England in 2012, and from that point forward, it was there, but I never really gave it much thought. It wasn't until I listened. I think it was about just as around season 5 dropped, and I think season 5 is my favorite one out of them all. But Liam was just, you should pick them up. You should pick them up. You should listen to them. And I'm like, I can't get behind. It was okay. It wasn't great. Season 3 of Jago and Lightfoot was good. Season 4 was great, and I think season 5 is for me where it really picked up. I really enjoyed and appreciated it, and that series has been, because of the initial passing of Trevor Baxter. I think that series really took a hit around 2017. I think they've been trying to work with Christopher Benjamin, but it's so hard when you are so closely tied to somebody. And they tried to include him in the Passionist Gang series, and but for me personally, I don't think it really worked. But it is a loss to the Doctor Who universe, as well as Doctor Who fandom and people who love Big Finish. But it is we do have these things, and I do hope I would love for what was it? That one actor that died last year, where suddenly he was in this one, and he was in this one, and this one. It was a Torchwood actor. I can't remember what his name was, but it seemed like he kept on, having material pop up, you know, months and months after he died. So it'll be kind of interesting to see if we have any other Christopher Benjamin stuff in the pipes for the near future, um, throughout 2025 and beyond. So that will be an interesting thing. Let's see. I do want to get to the writers for New Who, and I will. I want to do a special podcast just dedicated to the Fugitive Doctor because, oh, I've got thoughts and I've got feelings and I have feeling thoughts. Anyway, what do I want? What do I want to do? Oh, I'm going to go to Big Finish. That's what I'm going to do. Let's just check out the Big Finish news. I'm just curious. Let's see. Big Finish news. So, I one of the first thing I saw on this page is a quick flash sale for the Peladon adventures. You have the Prisoner of Peladon, the Bride of Peladon, and then the Peladon series. And I'm curious if Big Finish just really wants this to be a thing. I just the Peladon series is not good in my opinion. I've never actually listened to the Bride of Peladon or the other one, but it's just yeah. However, according to that's kind of interesting. So on the reviews for the Big Finish page, you do have all these reviewers, the Indie Mac user, 3 beautiful performances, go places for a potential sequel, hopefully not. And they gave it a 8.75 out of 8.75. That is weird. Just 8.7. I mean, I understand that that's 3/4 of a point, but still, that's just odd. Anyway, Warp Factor basically saying, all 4 episodes. Oh, so Warp Factor likes all 4 of them. Indie Mac user only likes 3. Interesting. Indie Mac user, not to be trusted. And then you have the Sci-Fi Bulletin, who the initial story. I will tell you, was hopeful of the initial story, and they gave it a strong opener for a 8 out of 10. The second one, The Poison of Peladon, a solid entry from Diary of River Song on Peladon, 7.5 or 7 out of 5. And then the third one, which again, but no, don't have a fourth one on there. 9 out of 10. I don't know. I'm just glad that New Earth is not a thing. I hated that release so bad, and I did not like Peladon. So yeah, that's not what I meant to do. I just saw that on the scroller and just had to give my thoughts on that. My unwanted thoughts, most likely. Let's see. What do I want? We got some more news revolving around future stories or whatnot. So I'm going to start with this. This comes from Big Finish News for the 30th of January, 2025. Two new Torchwood stories for 2025. Now, we do have Yvonne. Looks like she's in a wedding gown. Good for her. And then we do have a Zygon as part of the cover art. So it says Big Finish's productions range of full cast Torchwood audios will continue in 2025 with exciting adventures telling stories from the Institute who fights for the future on behalf of the human race. Today, the details of the next two exciting news stories are revealed. Wow, it is a hard one. All right. February's release will be Inseparable, a Valentine's Day special. Hey, we have I don't think we've done a Valentine's special before. That's pretty cool. I mean, we kind of get some Halloween-y stuff. We get Christmas horror stories and whatnot, but not really Valentine's Day. All right. Yvonne Hartman, played by Tracy Ann Oberman, and Tommy Pierce, played by Timothy Bitnick, must pretend to be loved up as they go undercover at suspicious couples retreat. Okay. And then we have in March's release, Rictus Fella Wulgar from Called the Midwife and The Unicorn and the Wasp makes her Torchwood debut as Princess Beatrice, Queen Victoria's youngest daughter, and the inheritor of Torchwood. It is not an easy job. Blah, blah, blah. A story that ties into Big Finish's new standalone series, Zygon Century. All right. That's interesting. I will tell you. Oh, I listened to the first episode of the Zygon Century, and oh, I did not enjoy that at all. Oh, my word. Maybe I need to re-listen to it, but I did not feel as though that first issue was really good. According to the timescales, it's a 7 out of 10. Let's see for that. The last one, 6.2. This Zygon Century, and again, please put reviews if you like and enjoy and appreciate Big Finish on the timescales, because everybody has like their own blog and stuff like that. And maybe I should be doing it as well too, because I practice what you preach and whatnot. But oh my word, I think it'd be nice to have some uniform spot where people could go for trusted thoughts and reviews. I do like that, they have, Diamond Reviewer, Emerald Reviewer, so that their voices can be trusted, or you can see their previous thoughts on certain releases and whatnot. But I will tell you, the instant I saw that Patrick Troughton's second Doctor was in Zygon Century, I was less than thrilled. I wanted it to be a standalone. I want the Crinoid one to be doctorless. I just want it to, exist in the Whoniverse, but that does not have any doctor meddling in it at all. So let's see. There we are. So yeah, we got that news right there. And for those of you that want to have, I like that. I think it's funny, but I like that they are essentially announcing that every single CD is a collector's edition. And it just depends on how many copies that they are actually pressing. So with these two, each one of them is a collector's edition of 1,000 copies, and they will never be repressed until they are. I say that only because of the Dorian Gray ones that were never going to be put on CD until they were. So I just, um oh, I wanted to pick up the uh, Doctor Who faithful friends, but because of the dog people and the monks, I can't get behind the most recent one. Anyway, that's a me problem. Let's see, what do I want? Okay, we got some interesting information on Susan's War, and this is Grandfather Times, and I believe this comes out in either February or when does it come out? I don't know when it comes out, but it is a collector's release on limited dig- digital. That would be interesting. Limited digital copies. Oh, that would be fun. Can you say uh R matey? Anyway, says Gallifrey is using the skills of every Time Lord at their disposal. The Cardinal Rasmus is not above bending the rules to gain an agent from the future. Susan is assigned alongside the War Doctor to keep him in line, but if he is no longer the Doctor, is he still her granddaughter? Interesting. Caroline Ford Susan, or sorry, I should have read that backwards. Working on the diplomatic operations for Gallifrey, has reunited with her grandfather, but the incarnation of him is the dark future of the ever worsening time war. She's shocked by how different the war doctor is from the man she remembers. So, okay, so the first one was released in August 2025, which was Family Ties. And these two, it says that the duo are dispatched in two dangerous. Never mind. What is going on? I do like that we have Andrew Smith as one of the writers for this, which is the Vord Alliance. Always appreciate having a Vord, and I do think going forward to having Caroline Ford Susan in there, I do think that that would be a really good idea to have the Vord as kind of her her villain. I feel as though out of all the classic crew, the Vord would be more tied to Susan. Not saying that they're singling her out specifically, but I believe that with all that, that's where that would be her villain if she started a standalone like Sarah Jane Adventures type situation. Then, of course, we do have news about the time tunnel that was released the 31st of January. It says this series is set in the world. Let's see. This series is set in the world of classic 1960s science fiction TV show produced by Irwin Allen, but is a perfect jumping on point for new listeners unfamiliar to the original show. I do appreciate that because there was some concern for me. Interesting. I was looking at, just saw the writing team for this first a new box set, the Time Tunnel, The Nightmare Begins, which will be released in February of 2025. We have Shudder, which is supposed to take place in November 14th, 2025. So it takes place before originally it comes out. So I hope Gary Russell, writer for Shudder, is Gary Russell. We do have Too Close to the Sun, written by Mark Platt. That is the first time I've seen his name in quite some time. And then The World, the Flesh, and the Devil, which is written by Martin Day. And I'm surprised. I thought Martin Day was no longer with us, but maybe. Oh no, maybe I'm thinking of somebody. I think I'm thinking of somebody else. Anyway, so I thought I was very intrigued by seeing not only Gary Russell's name but Mark Platt's name. Really fascinating because I have not seen him as a credited writer for Big Finish in quite some time. And then of course we have an ace trio, which is in the death of and life of Diary of a Song, Ace and Tegan, whatever, comes out March 25th. I think I'm just passing on that. Maybe I'll pick it up when it's, maybe Big Finishmas and it's like a 60% off deal. But I don't know. I think there can be too much of Diver River Song. And I think what we've gotten has been too much. I feel as though it's a forced character, not forced character that we don't like her, but these ranges, unlike, and maybe it's just me. We had just barely talked about Jago and Lightfoot and whatnot. And that was initially I found as though it was forced, but then it grew into a lovable duo. With Diary River Song, you already know who she is from this TV series. And I feel as though it's kind of somewhat semi forced too, but that's just me. And then before I end with this and go into the new series news, Call Me Master Inner Demons will be coming out. I'm recording this on the 2nd of February. So it will be coming out in February of 2025. There are 3 stories. The one written by Robert Valentine, Self-Help. The Master's having a crisis of his existential existential variety. While he may have a classic diabolical scheme going on, the dastardly Time Lord's latest incarnation isn't quite feeling himself. In fact, he is not even sure who he is anymore, but can he help himself? Okay, The Clockwork Swan by Georgia Cook. Opening night is approaching for the latest presentation at Cultural Theme Park Historica Dramatica Earth set Whodunit. The Clockwork Swan by cast and crew are being murdered. Enter a mysterious stranger who better to solve the crime than galaxy-renowned detective Lemaitre, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, last one written by Una McCormick, The Good Life. On a distant island, a group of holy men and women work together to keep the balance. Etna, one of the shore folk, has come to learn, but there's a new man on the island, the first in living memory, and it's not clear whether he's a saint or sinner. It is only coincidentally that the weather seems to be more challengeable these days, that people are angrier and turning to violence. Where, wonders Etna, is this all heading? And does the stranger even know himself? I will tell you, having read those synopses, and I'm not a synopsis reader, this first Call Me Master box set actually intrigues me a lot, to the point of where I almost was about ready to not have anything to do with it at all. But yeah, that really intrigues me. I can color me intrigued for that. So yeah, that's all of the Big Finish news and Doctor Who news. Now I'm gonna just be looking at the new writing team that was announced, and I think it has created a lot of stirs. I do have a whole bunch of things picked up and pulled up, ready to go. I have no opinion formed of my own. I do have somewhat, but it's an incomplete opinion, and I do owe everything a complete opinion, and also maybe give it time and whatnot. So it was announced, I believe I saw on the 27th of January, that Doctor Who on Twitter announced, let's see, what is it? Oops, just hit the microphone. Just announced, our TARDIS team just got bigger. Welcome on board our new writers for season 2. And there was a link to it, and I'm just going to break down this article link, and I'm going to look at a variety of other sources too, because again, I think we need to be fair, but we also need to, or be fair and open, but we also need to, as Doctor Who fans, as any fan of a franchise, there is some skepticism, I do believe. So the first one, from this, we have the picture of Juno Dawson. The second one is Shamara Angela Wolfel. We have Pete McTeague And the last gentleman is Una Elms, I believe. I probably mispronounced all of them. Anyway, so the article from Doctor Who.tv/news on the BBC's website goes as follows. It says the TARDIS is about to get a whole lot bigger. 4 writers have stepped on board the TARDIS for the upcoming series of Doctor Who coming in 2025, joining Russell T Davies. And so we have, again, all of them in a TARDIS, each one of the pictures in the panel of a TARDIS door. So it says Russell T Davies, showrunner, says the Doctor Who takes its talents from the glittering galaxy of names, and those extraordinary writers span the skies. We've got old hands and new stars, voices from theater, radio, and literature, and the whole works. It's the most wild and exciting season of Doctor Who yet. I can't wait to unleash their brilliant work. Meet the 4 writers joining Russell T Davies in season 2. And so the first one is Juno Dawson. And I do know Juno Dawson's name from the Doctor Who Redacted podcast that the scripted podcast that I actually never listened to because it was, I believe, only released in the UK. I think Legion grabbed them for me and sent them to me. You know what? And here's my problem with the whole thing. And this is my problem sometimes with the new series. You want certain things to be canon and continuity. But is it only canon if it is open for the British public, or is it canon if it is for the whole public? Because Doctor Who Redacted was not available over here in America. You have the memory TARDIS, that hunk of junk that RTD did for season 1 of his, RTD Part 2, which was not available on Disney Plus. It was only available to people in England on the BBC iPlayer, I think it was. And they made some canon changes. So again, can it be canon if it is not accessible to everybody? And this is something that Liam has brought up a couple times revolving around other medias, where if you have a book series and it is not an audio book or a comic book, is that comic or is that book? And that goes into Time Lord Victorious, as well as that horrible Doomsday event across multiple different medias or whatnot. If it's not accessible to everybody, does it count as canon towards the show, or is it just something fun? And for me personally, I think Doctor Who Redacted is just something fun. I think personally for me, the memory TARDIS thing on BBC's iPlayer or whatnot is something fun, and for to be able to see the old doctors and the classic doctors and with the classic companions talking, but what they have to say for me personally is inconsequential because it is not accessible to everybody. And again, just like Liam says, so many things are transcribed. So, people who are deaf could listen to the audio dramas. Well, I swear, Big Finish used to really do a good job of having all of their stuff with the scripts, but that was, I think, mainly only the main range. And so it'd be kind of interesting to see what the deaf community would kind of think about Big Finish audio dramas and whatnot, because the lack of accessibility. So again, I'm quite interested. I'm taking just a tad bit of a tangent right here, just talking about the canon and continuity revolving around things that are not openly available to everyone, where you live location earthwise, or what you have the accessibility to read and enjoy and listen to. So I just think that's kind of an interesting thing. And that's where I'm just going to leave off on the Doctor Who Redacted. So I have no idea what the quality is. I have heard it had great reviews. I know Legion, friend of the podcast, also really enjoyed it. And then she has these bestsellers, which is This Book is Gay and Her Majesty's Royal Coven. And she said, according to this, Juno Dawson stated, I started watching Doctor Who with my grandma when I was 10 years old in the 1990s, from writing fan fiction for an audience of one to scripting the best TV show of all time is truly a dream come true. I can't wait for fans and newcomers to see the new season. So I do like that, it sounds like she's actually heard of the show, which I will personally, I believe some of the Chibnall era writers had never heard of the show. They just happened to be looking for a job and he needed to, check a box on something. Let's see. We have Una Ellams, I believe that is probably wrong, says is a writer and curator who's published books of poetry. Dear God, no. Poetry. Huh. I can't unread that. Poetry. I don't like poetry. It's just a thing. I have nothing against this writer or actual poets. I just don't like poetry. All right, so it includes Candy Coated Unicorns and Converse All Stars. And let's see, his first play, The 14th Tale, was awarded the Fringe First at the Edinburgh Institutional Theatre Festival, and other plays include Barbershop Chronicles, which played at the National Theatre, Three Sisters, and A Half God of Rainfall. Inua says, for as long as I can remember, sorry, I'm going to restart that again. For as long as I can remember television, I've been a Doctor Who fan. So it just depends on when he started watching television. It could have been yesterday. Could have been last week, could have been last month. He could have just turned it on, whatever. All right, so I've been a Doctor Who fan. I started watching when I was 10 in Nigeria. Okay, good. We've got an age. Okay. The show invited me to dream and live beyond my reality. Getting to write for a new show felt like touching God. It was blasphemously humbling and exciting, and I can't wait to share my story with the world. Okay, then we have not new Doctor Who writer, Pete McTeague, who did write two stories for the Chris Chibnall era, and according to this bio on BBC's Doctor Who.tv website, he is the executive producer for The War Between the Land and the Sea. He was the creative executive for dramas for The Pact, which is BBC, The Rising, which was on Sky, A Discovery of Witches on HBO, and Wentworth, which was a show on Fox, I guess. Pete says the TARDIS is my home away from home, and it's been so enjoyable to step back inside with Russell at the console and the incredible team at Bad Wolf hanging on for dear life. I love the show with all my heart, and I'm really proud of what we've been able to achieve with my next episode. And then we have the last writer, Sharma Angel Wolfel, I guess. Originally hails from Manchester and won the inaugural Channel 4 New Writing Award that set her off in her screenwriting journey. She wrote an episode of Dreamland for Sky featuring Freema Agyeman and has been a number of writers' room, including Spaceassault, which is, I guess, a Netflix show, Renegade, Nell, which is Disney Plus, and A Town Called Malice, which is for Sky, and Knots and Crosses for the BBC. Sharma says, I'm buzzing to be a part of such an iconic show. I am a massive Russell T Davies fan. That's dreadful right there. No, you can be a fan of somebody's work, but you should not be a fan of their work. You should be a fan of the show that you're writing for. I'm a fan of Doctor Who. I'm not a fan of Chris Chibnall. Doesn't make me any less of a fan or a better or worse writer for it. I just know what I like. And I know what universe and what, shows I like. I like Star Trek. I like Star Trek The Next Generation. I like Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I do like Star Trek Voyager. I've never seen Star Trek Enterprise, though. I will. I picked it up on iTunes many years back. I will watch that, but I'm going to guess I like that. I do not like the first series of Star Trek Picard. I tried to get through that. That sucked. Star Trek Picard Season 3 is good. Guess who I'm not a fan of? Alex Kurtzman, who did the first 2 seasons of Star Trek Picard. Guess who I am a fan of? What's his name? The guy who actually wrote Season 3 of Star Trek Picard. And I'm also a fan of Star Trek. So you know what? It's okay to like a series, a guy who does certain things, or a gal, but I think you have to be invested in the show first, not the guy who's producing the show first. But you know what? That's just me. Says, so it's a dream come true to be able to work alongside him, especially on a show that I love. Oh, but I thought you were a fan first, a massive fan of Russell T Davies in a show that you love. It should be inverse, please. It's a real privilege to be a part of the Doctor Who family. I have loved every minute. All right. So it says, can't wait for more on the next season. Here's a roundup of everything we know so far. So I'm going to click this link right here because I never saw this one. Everything we know so far. So let's see. Following Ruby Sunday. Let's see. We do have the actress who was in Boom, who is going to be the new companion. We got new adventures, returning enemies, Mrs. Flood. Ooh, is she an enemy? Interesting. We have, they remind us of the awful Toy Maker. I like the Toy Maker. The story just sucked. From the Giggle, Ruby Sunday. Let's see. Kate Lethbridge Stewart is going to be in there. And then we have Shirley Ann Bingham, who is probably our wheelchair-bound person who also can shoot rockets out of that because that's a thing. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Oh, when and where can we watch season 2? Doctor Who season 2 will premiere on the BBC One and iPlayer and Disney Plus, where available in 2025. So that's all we know about that. That's fun. Okay. So with that, I'm just going to look at the fans' reception of this news because I'm very intrigued. So from Doctor Who's Facebook group, we have UGG. For the past 20 years, I've been trying to keep giving New Who a chance. Watch the first 2 seasons. Watch the first 2 new seasons, Disney episodes, with an open mind. Nothing against Shooty. I like his energy, but it is poorly channeled. It is poorly channeled. And I can't see why they've turned the show into Harry Potter magic free for all. Anything can interesting because I know that Liam was really looking forward to having more of a magical series, and so you know what, I'm not in on this magical series as well too, and this anyway, and I just barely. You know what? We're gonna have a musical episode, and I'm predicting who's gonna write it. It's gonna be the guy who is the poet. He's gonna write a musical episode. I'm just calling it right now. Oh boy. Cannot wait to skip that episode. Let's see. Another person on the BBC's Doctor Who page says, can we have some awesome adventures in space and time now? I really don't care about the companion's family, this life that much. Also, why does every companion have to be some major force of hold to the key of the universe for some special connection to time? Can't they just be someone along for the ride? Yes. And then we have that stupid thing with Ruby Sunday, who, you know, was only spared because that nobody knew who her parents were. And for some reason that prevented her death. And it's just so ridiculous. Yeah, let's just have like Sarah Jane Smith, just off for the ride. Just Tegan wandered into the TARDIS. Could we just have somebody along with the journey? Anyone who thinks Doctor Who shouldn't pander to social justice or any other such nonsense has plainly missed over 5 decades of doing it just that. right from the very first. Don't forget episode 1, followed a teacher concerned about the home life of a struggling student. A struggling student? No, just an odd student. I'm a teacher. I know what a struggling student looks like. Let's see. This is where Who has always been. And, you got a whole bunch of people that laughy face emojied that comment. Here's the thing. I understand that there's always been messages or whatnot, and there is moments in time where, it does need to be brought up, but it doesn't always need to have to be forefront and ham-fisted. Could it just be a subtle message? Could you just escape a reality? That is why most people read books, that are fictional. You can tie certain connective things to reality into those things, but to constantly bring and ham fist all the things that we are currently dealing with, no. Okay, another person says it looks to be a young team with some potentially different opinions and some backgrounds. Should get some interesting storylines. I've enjoyed some of Sharma's previous work, and I've read one of Juno's books. Congratulations to them for landing such a high-profile job. Okay. The sheer number of people not grasping that science fiction, both in literature and theatrical writing, has always been a genre filled with social commentary is pathetic. All right. Well, that is absolutely your opinion, and you can feel that way. But again, we've never lived in a time with a 24-hour news cycle, and I think things need to be written differently. I've been watching a whole bunch of things about the video game industry and how so many video game companies are losing millions of dollars because they are trying to pander to a group of people who don't buy video games. And it's fascinating. And we saw with the actors and writers strike or whatnot, what exactly the big corporations, the studios did is they went, okay, thank you. We'll meet you at where you're going to go. Oh, by the way, we've done this whole act of God type of a situation. 50% of the show's canceled. And it's going to be quite interesting to see what comes out from Hollywood and some of these TV shows and these studios in a couple of years from now, as when we get caught up, because I feel as though there has been so much backlash for what has gone on. Again, Captain America #4 has been reshot according to all of the information at least 4 different times. Did I just get blocked in real life, in real time? That'd be fun. Anyway, you have some people that say, revolving this on another Doctor Who fan group, saying that with this 4-panel of writers, not going to lie, but this is not looking good for Series 41. And the admin turned off commenting to this post. Some people said that they've never heard of some of these people. They know who that Juno Dawson is best-selling author, and they know that Pete McTeague did stuff previously. And so it's kind of interesting to piggyback off of something that one of those people on the Doctor Who Facebook page said. That somebody brought up an article. And it's quite interesting because it has the article headline for an article released on the 29th of January, 2023. And then they have parts of an article that was done around 2005. And this is quite interesting. And I think we're living in a very interesting time right now. And as fans of Doctor Who, which this is the podcast for, as well as, if you're a fan of Star Trek, Star Wars, and all that other fun stuff, I think that we're in a very, very compelling, lots of friction time. It says that Doctors Maestro Russell T Davies hit out at rubbish modern woke scriptwriters who are obsessed with diversity rather than loving television. Oh, sorry. No. So this was just updated on that day. This was an original release back in 2005. I don't know what the original release was, but this was just updated in 2023. So Russell T Davies, the chief writer and producer of the show's 2005 reboot, said many scriptwriters today did not love TV and were more interested in representation. I do a lot of mentoring, and there are voices wanting to be heard of any gender or ethnicity who consider themselves invisible, he said. They hate the media that ignores them, and they're trapped into wanting a job that in a medium purely to increase representation. Now, that is interesting, and that has been an accusation for fans for, I want to say, at least the past 10 years. That people, especially in comics, as I read comic books, a lot of people find that the writers of these superhero comics actually don't like them, but they want to write something and they want to write something representative. So I think it's quite interesting that people are getting jobs in careers in a field that they actually have no passion for, but the only passion that they have is to increase or add representation, which goes to who's allowing them to continue to write scripts if they're not selling, if people are bothered by them. You don't have to fire them because of the representation, or you can dismiss them or stop giving them work because of that. You could just dismiss them because of quality of work and lack of sales. But again, we're in a moment in time in which everybody is scared to death of saying no to the wrong person for, this or that. All right. So the article continues. He told the Sunday Times, I read their scripts and they're rubbish. They don't actually love television, so they don't know how to write for it. And I think this is where a lot of people are really, really struggling with these four new writers. We have Pete McTeague, who does have some experience. I would say one of the stories is good. Kerblam, fantastic. The other one, not so much. I think it's Praxis. And then you have Juno Dawson, who did do the Doctor Who Redacted. I did not listen to it, but but I do remember discussing that with Liam and Legion on the podcast. And before anybody had ever listened to any of it at all, the thought and the discussion was, why are all these characters like this? Like, why is one, I think one is a trans, one is gay, I can't remember what the whole breakdown of it was. And it just could you just have people that are having an adventure? Do we really need to get bogged down into who they sleep with and whatnot? I think that is really what a lot of people are getting tired of. We had Terrence Dicks, Malcolm Hulke. Yes, they may have had some uh, um, very social commentary on what their writing was, but it was always done differently. I don't feel as though the Green Death was constant beratement. And I feel as though most of these new writers and storylines is constant berate and remind and beat to death. Again, in a 24-hour news cycle that we live in. It says in the same interview, actor and director Paul, that's not even close to that name, Mark Gatiss shared his concerns about the quality of new writers. He said, sometimes I think I'm like Pollyanna because I've met so many people who hate making television, he said. It seems to make them so miserable. Go and work the bins or something. It's hard work. It gives you ulcers, so you have to love it. So I think it's quite interesting that some people are basically using some of their previous words, Rusty Davies, Mark Gatiss, and kind of discussing their likes, dislikes, and their struggles with liking certain things. Whereas we are in this so polarized society where if you don't like what I like, there's something wrong with you. You're a theist and phobe and whatnot. It's okay to not like it. Like I said, way long time ago, when it was announced that Jodie Whittaker was going to be the next Doctor, I said that, and I will continue to say so. I go, this is going to be very interesting because you're going to have people who like it, but then everybody's going to have to wonder, do you like it because it's actually good? The writing, the story, the acting? Or are you liking it because in not doing so, you would appear sexist? Okay. Or do you hate it? Do you hate it because the writing, acting, storyline, whatnot is not good? Or are you not liking it because you're sexist? And I believe both sides, the liking of the 13th Doctor and the disliking of 13th Doctor, everybody accuses the other side of the sexism. You like it because you have to. You hate it because it's different. Whereas maybe authentically, people who like it do like it because the story's good. Now, are there some that like it because they feel as though they have to? Yes, absolutely. Are there people that don't like it because it was the first female Doctor? Absolutely. But it goes to quality of work. And I believe Chris Chibnall is the one that really has to answer for the, series 11, 12, not 13. Wait, 13? Is that what anyway, he is the one that has to answer for those ones. So I think it's quite interesting about that. I'm just going to check to see what some of these comments on this articles on Twitter have to say. And so a lot of them are like Disney money. I think he thought he was going to have his own universe with his own production company, Bad Wolf. What a shame. And then it says, funny, since RTD made those comments, he's taken the show into a whole new DEI level of woke, which is why let's see. Then I do hate memes. I do. More degradation on the way in the future and low ratings. Gita's showing off his snobbery there. Go work the bins or something. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. All right. Well, that's all I have to say about that. I will tell you, I'm more skeptical of the show with the new writers. And the main reason why, let's see. Chris Chibnall, Doctor Who writers. Okay, I'm curious who his writing staff was because I think, let's see, who wrote for Jodie Whittaker, Chris Chibnall. Let's see. Why is Jodie Whittaker no longer? Why is Chris Chibnall no longer? That is hysterical. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna go to. Sorry, I just decided to figure out because I remember when the announcement for the writing staff for Doctor Who for Chris Chibnall as showrunner, I remember that being a worrisome part for me. All right, fine. Let's just do this. All right. Oh, come on. Don't be a jerk. All right. Fantastic. So The Woman Who Fell to Earth, written by Chris Chibnall. Okay. So now I'm just going to wait for my internet to respond because it's giving me the spinning wheel of death. Anyway. Okay. We have The Ghost Monument, Chris Chibnall. Fine. Let's see. Rosa. Oh. Co-written by Chris Chibnall. Let's see. All right, let's just go through this. This is painful. I apologize. I should have had this picked up, but I didn't realize I was going to do this. You know what? I'm not going to do this. All I'm going to do is just say, well, Chris Chibnall was the writer and showrunner for the majority of series 11 and 12 and 13. He did have some writers, but I feel as though when we went over their careers, they had always just been either recent graduates of college, had done short films and whatnot. as I read the bios for the two that aren't Pete McTeague and Juno Dawson, I am kind of skeptical revolving around that situation right there. I think it is something, it caused a pause. I think it is something to be leery of because I'm not sure the quality. Now, again, some of the people on the Facebook group did say Charmaine Angel Waffle has done some great things that they're aware of. I have not heard of any of those great things. And Inua Elma, you say that you're a poet. I'm already skeptical of that. Anyway, that being said, thanks for watching. Thanks for downloading. If you are watching it on YouTube, like, subscribe if you're watching it on YouTube. Please give us a comment. You can email the show at alhambraaudio@gmail.com. You can tweet the show at Alhambra Podcast. DMs are open. And until next time, I will see you in time. You have been listening to the Doctor Who Alhambra Podcast. Doctor Who is owned and trademarked by the BBC. Doctor Who Alhambra is not affiliated with the BBC or Big Finish. No infringement is intended. Visit our website at alhambrapodcast.weebly.com or email the show at alhambraaudio@gmail.com. Tweet us at Alhambra Podcast. That is ALHAMBRA Podcast. Thank you.